Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. Joe Bottini is our guest. Joe is the official Oneida County historian, and we're going to be talking about Oneida County history. We're also going to be talking about an upcoming event at Harts Hill Inn, where Joe and some others are going to be honored. But before we do any of that, we're going to say welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you, Joe.
Well, let's start off with the. You've just been nominated as and voted on as a living legend. Nice honor.
It is. It's. I'm conflicted a little bit. The living part I'm okay with. I'm still with it.
Yeah.
The legend part kind of threw me.
Yeah.
And so I looked it up, and it says, I know you don't like me reading, but I have to read this.
Okay.
Popular but unfounded belief, subject of such beliefs. So I'm the subject of an unfounded belief. That's what it says here. Then it goes on to genius.
We know that's
not true.
No, right.
Phenomenon, that can't be. Luminary. I don't know the last time I illuminated anyone, But then it went on to say fiction, folktale, and myth. I said, okay, I'm in. I made it.
Well, it's a nice honor.
It is.
It's going to be October 3rd, Wednesday, October 3rd at Harts Hill Inn.
Correct. 5 o'clock social hour, 7 o'clock dinner, and it's always a good time, and it's really important for the History Center. Mm-hmm. This is one of their only two
big fundraisers
that they have. It's important. I want all my friends to come out that night. It's important because it's a fundraiser. And of course, you know the other one, you're the MC of the telethon, and that's another fundraiser for the center. But the center is so important because local history is the glue that holds the whole community together. Without history, we don't know where we were, why we're here, or where we're going. It's important. And it really is not supported. The county does not have a line item in its budget for it, so it has to raise all its money through memberships, book sales, and they've got a great bookstore there. The volunteer, George Abel, is there every day. And they sell tons of books, including your books. Your books are still there.
Yeah.
So if the folks want to learn about local history, a trip down to the History Center bookstore, and they've got it all right there.
Do you ever speaking of books, do you ever think about writing a book dealing with local history?
Well, I've got one that I published, Utica, strictly Utica, and I've got one now that's in the hopper. Hopefully, when I get it finished, it'll be a nice little addition to the bookstore. I'd like to complete the story of a gal named Sarah. Sarah Toga was a fine gal who was of British origin, who came here from England during the Revolutionary War and has a very storied life. She was even arrested at one point. I don't want to tell too much of the story because I want you to read my book, of course. Yeah. But it's a very interesting. And she was a resident of Utica for over 200 years. And now she's gone.
You raised a little stink about that too when she...
Yeah, I raised a big stink about that, but it didn't do me any good.
Yeah, you better tell people who Saratoga is.
Now and give it away. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Saratoga is a Revolutionary War cannon that was built in 1747 and came here during the Revolutionary War and fought with General Burgoyne at his defeat at Saratoga. And once the British were defeated, they took the cannon. And it eventually ended up in Utica, and we don't know how it got to Utica. I've asked the great guru of mine, Frank Tomano. He doesn't know. Yeah. And if Frank Tomano doesn't know something and Joe Kelly doesn't know it, it's pretty hard to find the answer.
Well, we do know, though, where the cannon stood for many years.
Yes, it was in front of the armory on Park Ave, Steuben Park. I got the park before the Steuben. Yeah. And it also, after being there for quite a while, in 1879, let me back up, 1879, the state of New York wanted the cannon because they said it belonged to them. And so the mayor at the time, Mayor Buckley, ordered his police chief to arrest Sarah and put her in jail. To keep it here. And chain her. She was chained to the jail so that the state couldn't take her. Well, when it was clear that they had backed off, it was on display at the armory at Steuben Park. And then when that armory was...
Just to interrupt you for a second, on that site today, Joe, is the Historical Park Apartments.
Right, correct.
Yep.
And So she ended up at the Culver Ave Armory after that was destroyed. And in between those times, she also appeared on the lawn in front of the old public library on Elizabeth Street. And she also, for a time, I don't know if she was incarcerated, but she was on the grounds of the state lunatic asylum. Why she was in so many places, I have not found yet for the reason for it, but she did her traveling around.
And today, is the Saratoga Cannon on display down there, or?
I don't know. I have yet to visit. I promised to visit and find the answer. And I'll email you as soon as I do, but she was sent there for rehab.
The cannon was, well, I don't know, is falling apart too much of a?
It was sitting out in front of the armory on Culver Ave, and all of the case on the wood wheels were all rotting. And I wrote a story, and Dave Didayak was gracious enough to allow me a guest editorial in the Observer-Dispatch, and about how shameful it was that this happened. Well, apparently the sergeant at the armory in charge of the grounds noticed that and didn't want the responsibility of rehabbing her, so he offered it to the military museum in Saratoga. So that's where she is at the moment. And I just say she's on rehab duty. We're going to get her back eventually.
Where would you like to put her?
Good question, Joe. I'm open for suggestions.
Yeah, okay.
Wouldn't it be nice to have her on the front lawn of the Oneida County History Center? They have a cannon there now that came from Bag Commemorative Park when it was down
That'd
there.
be nice.
And
October 3rd, let's get back to that for a second. You are being inducted as a living legend, and there's 3 others that are being inducted.
3 other fine folks. I congratulate them on their nomination. Padre Salerno, Anita Votullo, and Ed Jackson. I have not met Ed Jackson or Anita, and I know Padre Salerno, so it'll be a nice evening.
Yeah,
and you're going to be the MC?
I am. Yeah, I am. So we'll have a good time.
The MC, the Master of Ceremonies of the Mohawk Valley.
Well,
the folks don't know, but there's inside stuff. But I call this gentleman Georgie Gesso because he's the Toastmaster General of Oneida County.
That's nice of you to say. The event that night, too, will also honor people who are going into the Hall of Fame. And maybe if we get time later on in the show, we'll talk about them as well. But one of the things that you've done, Joe, is, as the Oneida County historian, is put a focus on history and trying to get people interested in history. And one of the things that you've tried to do is get some plaques in their rightful place.
Yes.
And one of them has to do, talk about cannons. I remember as a boy, where there were, let me see, were there 2 cannons or 3 cannons on the little park that marked Fort?
3 cannons, 1 on each point of the triangle park. Yeah.
And that is down, well, about where the REA building wing is of Union Station, right?
Just east of the REA wing, north of the Pacemaker Steel building on the corner of 2nd and Main Street.
In fact, you brought some pictures with you, and when we come back from this break, one of the pictures you brought shows exactly where you'd like to put this, and we'll show everybody that.
Fine.
Joe Bottini's our guest. Short break, right back.